Hello, 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 friends and family. It's Sharon Herbert, the Power RN, coming to you live once again. It's Monday, Nurse's Life. So, what's your story? And what life, my nurse friends? We've always got something going, but let's make sure we share with each other. You know our words. Sharing is caring. And today we bring a message to you from the Maryland Organization of Nurse Leaders. And the acronym, for short, MONL. And you can find that organization if you just Google it. At the end of this message, take a look at what's happening there. I know, because I happen to live in the state of Maryland, a lot about what's going on in that organization. And I won't say that they're brand new, but as my friends say, it's brandy new. It's a brandy new organization. And they're looking at strategies to improve the healthcare system, which of course is really a challenge to decide and determine what is really going on, what can be fixed, and once again, we find ourselves in the emergency room. So, what are the priorities? And there was a meeting last week of this organization. They met at the Luminous Anne Arundel Medical Center, and that is in Maryland. So I happen to just be paying quite a bit of attention to that organization, and last week their message was related to the staffing crisis. You know about the staffing shortage. It's been that for a good long time. Now it's really emerged as a crisis. And part of that is related to all of the ups and downs that were attached to the COVID pandemic. The things that we weren't prepared for, and is in we, I mean the world, not just we as in nurses. So that put a lot of pressure on the components of the system's plans, the system's finances, the system's employees, the system's regulations. All of those were up in the air. And what happens when there's a crisis and there's no fix to this ongoing crisis for just about 3 years? And as people say today, oh, the COVID pandemic is over. And this is what I say to them. If it's over for you, you're either not a patient or you're not a healthcare provider, because COVID is not over for us. We are still on the lookout. We are still trying to make things better for the healthcare providers, the healthcare system, the patients, the communities, the community workers, the caregivers. We are still trying to make changes that will improve outcomes for all, not just for the doctors, not just for the patients, not just for the caregivers in the home. Each and every component of the system has faced many challenges. And it's up to us to make everything better, not leaving any stones unturned. So, as the Maryland Organization of Nurse Leaders, talked about staffing, it was about the crisis. And we know that the crisis really is related to the world in numbers. They're not looking at the why. They're not looking at the who in the scheme of what level of staffing we're talking about for nursing shortages. They just want to look at the numbers because to them, a nurse is a nurse is a nurse. And might I say, you might even be lucky if they think of you in that way. If they don't, say, well, I'm not really sure what nurses do. So I think they just like give medications and change beds. Okay, we'll have to put an end to that message by sharing with the community and maybe even with some of your own members of your healthcare team. Who are nurses and what do we do? Because communication is the hugest problem. Even if we talked about staffing and we have enough numbers of nurses, doesn't matter what level, I'm just talking about numbers, that's what they're thinking. They're all the same, so, they're interchangeable and everyone can just, change beds and do all that. And, oh, you mean they think? You mean nurses are thinking? You mean nurses are critically thinking? You mean nurses solve problems? Those are some of the things that we haven't managed to share with our colleagues and or our clients, customers, or patients, as you would call them. We haven't managed to share that information well. So they see us as all one in the same. And you know that we are not one in the same. So, just a moment, please. As we think about who we are and what we do in relation to the staffing crisis, are those numbers that the organizations are looking at related to registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, nurse practitioners, doctors of nursing practice, certified nurse anesthetists, case managers? Who are they talking about? And do they know who they're talking about? And whence they should speak of nursing shortage in any forum, C-suite, board meeting? Do they all understand who they're speaking of and where the shortage makes the biggest difference for the organizations? So the things that we need to do is to make sure that they know who we are and what we do. And that could be a bridge to cross together so that it's a win for the C-suite and the board, and it's a win for the nursing staff at each level. What numbers are they looking at for each particular level? And how do those numbers of registered nurses, nurse practitioners, doctors of nursing practice, nurse assistants, licensed practical nurses, how do those numbers affect outcomes? Financial, and as a result, an outcome for the patients that we serve. So we've got to know what we're talking about to make a plan together to make things work better. So we can't do it alone, and the board can't do it alone if we are not looking at what is needed and the best outcomes for each level and each component of the system, whether it's the board, whether it's the financial outcomes, whether it's the best outcomes for healthcare for patients and customers, and how it serves to recruit and retain nursing staff. Because nursing staff, if you just put it in a bundle, they're the biggest number of employees in any health system. So we've got to make it a win for each other. Nurses can't always ask for just money, and hospital CEOs can't just ask for just money either. So what is important to make a good balance for each side? As we talk about nursing and the shortage, don't ever forget, we can't forget, there are three huge components that set up this dry space. I'll just call the shortage a dry space. And it comes back to how many nurses any nursing school, college, organization is producing, and that those nurses pass their boards and get licensed and then move on to getting a licensed position in a healthcare organization. Even if a nursing school had 500 nursing students and they went through the curriculum for the 2 years or 4 years, if only 10% of that number pass their boards, those are the only ones who can move forward to get a position to serve in a healthcare organization. Does that create a shortage? Yes, that creates a shortage. And if any of those organizations could absolutely produce stellar numbers of passing rates, but they're short of faculty, they won't be able to produce satisfactory numbers of graduates who can then move forward to secure positions in organizations. So the faculty numbers in any school of nursing affect the number of available candidates. There you go. That's one thing. Now, even if all is well at the schools of nursing, and each and every one of those schools produce stellar candidates who all passed their licensure exam, all 500 or 5,000, and those persons move on to secure organizational employment. What if the organizations aren't ready for education and orientation that will help those licensed persons now move forward to success? If the orientation doesn't happen, if the orientation is shortened, or if the orientation is delayed because there are no preceptors for the new staff, that is as well another challenge. So we still end up there with a shortage. If there aren't enough preceptors for the new graduates, or even the new seasoned, experienced nurses, they must be trained. And they must be trained in accordance with the rules and regulations of each particular state board of nursing. You can't take shortcuts. You cannot take shortcuts. And we know that. So we have to be prepared. That rolls back to the board, the CEO, and the financial components of the organization. Orientation must be funded within the organization. Otherwise, those nurses cannot move forward. That organization will be facing a shortage. Oh, here we are again. And what about those nurses who are in the phase of preparing for graduation? They are in one of their last semesters of their organizational related training, which is for an associate degree or a bachelor's of science degree in nursing. But irregardless, they must have clinical training. Nursing is a very, very difficult educational path. There is English, there is math, there is science, there is psychology, there is sociology, and so much more that you must complete. And to top that all off, that's in the classroom. You all must have clinical training in an organization that allows the School of Nursing to have the related absolute number of clinical training hours for the students. That is absolutely necessary. But during COVID, and who knows, even now, there might be some organizations that have put some barriers to the steps of clinical training for nursing students. There are some that are still fighting through COVID, and they have cut back clinical hours for schools of nursing. So, what happens when the students don't get training? And I'm going to say, like my kids say, Mom, is that a rhetorical question? Yes, that's a rhetorical question. So do you believe that that would be a good outcome for those nursing students? Or that that could be a challenging outcome for those nursing students? If you think you have an answer, join us and put it in the comments. What do you think will happen to some of those students? And if you come back on replay, I'd love for you to still answer that question. How does that affect the next steps for those students who are on the road to graduation? And last but not least, what happens when there could be enough faculty, there could be enough clinical settings, and there are not enough students? Because maybe the schools of nursing and the educational pathways are too expensive for those persons who would love to take part in entering the career path of nursing. We know that nothing in the world is easy or free. So we know that you would never think that nursing as a career path is easy or free. And there are not many persons who can find a nursing curriculum and course on sale as a discount. You have to be able to pay for the coursework over the 2 years or the 4 years that you set as your desired goal. So if the courses and the training are too expensive, some people may not be able to enter into that career path. I know more than a few persons who would love to start right off on the road to being a registered nurse, had to just take a sidestep and become a med tech and work and work and have part-time or even full-time employment so that they could save enough money to enter the profession of nursing through a nursing education program. No, they are not easy. And now you know they are not cheap or free either. So we're piling difficulty, lots of education, lots of coursework, lots of homework, lots of clinical, lots of hours, lots of tests, and lots of stress on top of the fact that it all costs a lot. So these are some of the challenges that relate to the nursing shortage. And I am sure, though I only mentioned 3, that there are so many more. But I want to remind you that nursing education is not easy. And I want you to be able to say that to the next person who says to you, "Oh, well, they told me that nursing was easy." And all you have to say is, "No, it isn't." And you can add to that. But don't let them walk away with that misconception that nursing is easy. Because all you do is just change beds, just take people their trays, just answer the phone, just give a medication. All of those are, yes, components of a day in the life of a nurse, a registered nurse, and other nurses in the team. But none of that is even easy, because you must be sharp and on point all the time. And we know if we've made it through the coursework, the licensure exam, and are working in an organization, by the first year, if you are still, and I'm going to be a little funny and say alive and kicking, you are on the road to success. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to stay in the place that you're in and that kind of interested you in your first role in nursing. You might have come across something else that interested you that you didn't even know existed. Maybe now you want to work on the oncology unit. Maybe you want to work in cardiovascular services or ear, nose, and throat, psychiatry, med-surg. You want to be a flight nurse or a transport nurse. There are so many options and opportunities for you. So take time to find out what's available. And I've even had some folks who tell me when they come to their first job, no matter where it happens to be, they are ready to be nurse practitioners. And that's what their goal is. But there are so many options and opportunities for you. So even if you decide nurse practitioner, there are numerous specialty areas for nurse practitioners as well. So find one. Find one that is in the role that you might be interested in and ask them more about what they do and how they decided to go that route, because they will be more than happy to share with you their path to success as well. So don't be afraid to ask the questions, all of the questions, and most of them have answers. So don't be afraid that you won't find the answer, and so you won't ask. Please do yourself a favor. Ask questions, you will find answers. And your nurse supervisors and leaders and preceptors and mentors and coaches will help you along the way as well. It is our role and our goal. Those of us, like me, who've been in nursing for many, many, many years. We want to see success in our profession, and we are here to help you, to guide you through and around some of the pitfalls. Don't get it twisted. Those who say you can't do it and it's too much for you, they don't know why you're doing it. Remember, you've already made it through that first challenging step of completing your education and licensure. There are so many more opportunities and options available for you. And there are colleagues and friends, and I mean real friends, the ones that cherish and love you, that will help you along the way. Don't be afraid and do it alone, because wherever you're going, someone else has already taken the path there, and they can help you along the way. And by the way, again, this is Sharon Herbert, the Power RN, at Power in Nursing Innovations. And this is Monday's Nurses Life. Remember, your nurse leaders as well are looking forward to making and helping you make some changes in the future of nursing. If there are things that you know or questions that you have, make sure that you don't just throw them under the covers and say, well, I'll just think about that later, or I'll do it next time. Someone else is thinking that same thing. How can we be better for ourselves and for our community? The future of nursing needs you. And yes, nursing is in crisis, but we can fix it. Together, we can fix it. So thank you for coming on by again. Wishing you a happy, happy Monday. And I am always praying for you, each and every one of you. And I think about solutions to the future of nursing. Together we can. Yes, we can. Have a great, great day, and you will see me in front of a microphone somewhere. Coming to you soon. Let's work together. to make nursing change.